Hey, good evening, and welcome to a segment of my show. And this is Tough Talk with Mac. I'm John McCarthy, and the show is about, well, I changed the name. I used to call it Coffee Talk, but I wanted to talk about other things. I wanted to break it down, and I wanted to talk about real, tough, pointed, very important topics. So I decided to change the name to Tough Talk. And so, and I'm going to talk on point, and you're going to know how I feel about things. And right now, one of the hot topics in New York City, in New York State, especially in New York City, is the mandates, the vaccine mandates. And right now, approximately 30% of NYPD are unvaccinated, about approximately 30% of FDNY are unvaccinated, and about 30% to 35% of other first responders and city workers are unvaccinated. Uh, People are unvaccinated for their own reasons and for disclosure purposes. And I've said this before, and my friends know this because I say this every time I lead into an argument. I am fully vaccinated. I believe in the science. I believe in vaccines. I believe they do help. I don't believe in mandating and forcing people to do a medical procedure that they wish not to do. That's what I don't believe in. So I draw the line there. I believe the vaccine should be a personal choice, not a mandate. And statistically, people say, well, you got to follow the science. And well, the science tells us that statistically, there's no cause or reason for a government, whether it's federal or local, to force its people to be mandated to be vaccinated. Statistics are not there. From the beginning to now, for the last 20 months, 19 months, we're entering the 20th month of this pandemic in New York City in the Northeast. 99.5 and over survived this virus. Many people were inflicted with the virus and did not know it. The most common factor for people being hospitalized is not being vaccinated or unvaccinated, is having multiple comorbidities, obesity, asthma, heart conditions, pre-existing conditions, being a compromised immune system. Okay, so that's the reason why people are being hospitalized. The argument for mandating the vaccine comes from, I heard Mayor de Blasio talk about it. I heard a lot of other people talk about it who call for mandates. And President Biden just stated this last week at his little CNN town hall meeting with Cooper Anderson. And he mocked when people say freedom. He goes, freedom? Freedom to kill somebody? And that's a direct quote. So they tell you that it's for the good of your neighbor. You don't want to compromise your neighbor. Well, if the vaccines are so good at stopping COVID and my neighbor got the vaccine, why would he have to be worried about me being vaccinated or not? The logic is not there. It doesn't make sense. The argument is not there. We already know vaccinated people can catch COVID, can carry COVID, and can transmit COVID. So the vaccine's not stopping from that either. What are they going to say next when 90% of the city are vaccinated and hospitalizations still occur? Who are they going to blame that on next? Are they going to start mandating a booster then? Are they going to mandate booster number 2, booster number 3? A little statistical data also. Ireland is approximately 92%, is one of the most vaccinated countries in Europe. Almost 92%. And right now, it's the highest COVID infection rate out of all of Europe. So what does that tell you? The vaccine is not stopping COVID. So the whole argument that you're doing it for your neighbor, protecting your neighbor, is out the window. Okay? So now, when we already established, when science and statistical data establishes that the vaccine does not stop COVID, what the vaccine does is if your if your immunity is compromised, it helps you. Okay? So the people that it will help the best are the people with compromised immunities, people who are obese, people who have diabetes, people who have heart conditions, people who have asthma. So they're the people that the vaccine will help. It will not stop a healthy person who's vaccinated from catching COVID. It will not stop you if you're vaccinated and you have COVID from transmitting COVID. So they don't have the data behind them. They don't have the science behind them. So then what next? What is the ultimate reason for these mandates? And why would the city initiate this mandate? Why would they change the playing field? Why would they change the rules just a week and a half ago? That's when the rules were changed. Just a week and a half ago, it was okay for unvaccinated people on city jobs to be tested every week, and those people were okay with it. They, okay, I'll go get tested every week. I just don't want the vaccine. But then in a week and a half, they changed the rules. You have to ask yourself why. Science didn't change. I had this little discussion. There was a little discussion, but it wasn't a discussion because I just cut it off because I didn't want to really escalate a situation. When I made that question to a friend a couple of weeks ago, somebody interjected and said, well, science changes. No, science didn't change. The science for this COVID didn't change in the last 18 months. It's still the same virus, and there may be variants, but vaccinated people can catch it, vaccinated people can carry it, vaccinated people could transmit it. So that science hasn't changed. So why the change in the rules? Why move the goalposts in the direction that they move? Why come out with this ultimatum? Well, got to ask yourself. Politics, okay? It's more nefarious than we're led to believe. What is the ultimate goal? And here's just a hypothesis, okay? There's no proof behind it, but it should be looked at, should be studied. We should look at this next week, 2 weeks from now, to see if maybe there's some credible evidence in that direction. But one hypothesis is to disturb the upcoming elections in New York City. Maybe. Why make October 29th the deadline, 5 p.m., when you have election day the following Tuesday? Okay, you're going to leave a lot of cops at home. You're going to leave a lot of firemen at home. You're going to leave a lot of first responders at home, a lot of city workers at home. Are you trying to make it hard for people to go and vote? Are you trying to make it difficult for people to go and vote? Are you trying to scare people from voting? Because, without the cops and the first responders, maybe a lot of people don't want to get on the subway. Maybe a lot of people said, screw it, I'm not voting in this election. So what is the ultimate purpose of changing the goalpost so soon, so close to an election? That hypothesis has to be looked into. I'm surprised nobody in the press is looking into it. Well, we know why. Most people in the press aren't looking into it. But you have to ask yourself, listen, just as CNN attacked Joe Rogan because ivermectin, right? He used a doctor-prescribed medicine which was developed by a Nobel laureate and used for many, many years with great results, and they attacked him. And then they're spinning back that attack by saying, well, we didn't mean him. We didn't say that. We just said it's no. They're putting a spin on a lie, so they're creating another big lie to cover up the first lie. Okay? So, money, right? So we have money. So, and Joe Rogan explained it perfectly, right? Ivermectin is a drug that only costs about 30 cents a dose. But Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, they're coming out with their own version of ivermectin, their own version of antiviral drug that they're going to introduce, that they're going to hold patents on. See, the patent expired with ivermectin, and that's why they don't want you to use it. because when they come out with their drug, you're going to see them start pushing their drug. So it's money. Okay. So New York City, the mandates may be money, possibly politics, and all this talk about not using certain drugs because and they really attacking people who choose their own method of medication. You know, it's all about money, and it's wrong. Listen, again, it should be a personal choice, right? So you're asking somebody to stick something in their arm, something that is new, something that there's not a lot of data on. Okay, we don't have any long-term studies on the effects of these vaccines. I personally chose it to use it to protect my immunity because I'm getting older, and I developed asthma, so that's why I chose it. But you should not force it on anybody, and there's no reason to force it on anybody. And don't compare this to polio, okay? Because those rates were different and indiscriminately attacked children, and the death rate was much, much higher. So let's not compare it to polio. Let's not compare it to you being in the military. That's separate. You're changing the rules from week to week as you go along, and that's wrong. And you're lying about the reason why you're doing it. So please, people need to wake up and really follow and try to investigate where all this nonsense is coming from. There's always a reason for these directives and mandates. Follow the money, follow the politics, see where it's coming from. So that's today's talk. Let's investigate why this mandate came out, why the rules were changed just a week and a half ago, so close to an election. Is this the mayor's way? Is this the Democratic machine that controls New York City? Is this their way of altering an election, all right, or disrupting an election? You got to ask that question. It's a legitimate question. And if you're not asking that question, then you really don't care, okay? So it's a legitimate question. So let's see what happens and let's see what transpires and stay safe out there, everybody, okay? And I'll be back again with another segment. So thanks for joining me in this segment. So take care. Be careful.